creepy in this house.
Looks pretty creepy. I'd been away from Paris and hadn't seen Nico for nearly 6 months. I wanted to celebrate our reunion, but she had other plans. An appointment with an archaeologist. Something to do with a Mayan stone she came across while researching the story. The guy who answered the door didn't look much like an archaeologist to me. I had a bad feeling about this.
Hello and welcome to Broken Sword 2, The Smoking Mirror. I have a lot of nostalgia for this game. I remember getting this for Christmas in 1997, spending about half an hour, 45 minutes installing the game, and then spent the rest of the day not being able to actually leave this room. For some reason I could not figure it out when I was, how old was I, 14? Anyway, let's deal with this spider.
There were only 3 things I didn't like about spiders. The way they looked, the way they moved, and the fact that they lived on the same planet as me. This spider was big, mean, and hairy, and definitely not a native of Europe.
Something tells me that even if we could reach this spider, it would do more damage to us than we could do to it.
I thought that I ought to free myself before examining the furniture. It looked like Nico's handbag, but I couldn't reach it from here. I glanced over the books, vaguely hoping to find a copy of How to Deal with Poisonous Spiders While Tied to a Chair. No such luck. But I noticed one corner of the bookcase was supported by a loose block of wood. The bookcase was too big and heavy to move. The block of wood had been used to replace the original foot of the bookcase. Maybe I'd been a little heavy-handed, but it was a question of survival. Of course, I was still tied to a chair in a burning house with no means of escape.
Yeah, there is no such thing as heavy-handed in this situation.
The bookcase had been anchored to the wall by a protruding metal bracket. It had sheared off as the bookcase had fallen, leaving a jagged edge. With one mighty bound, our hero was free. Now, I had to deal with that fire.
You may notice that I am playing the original version and not the remastered. And although the remastered version does have upgraded graphics and audio, there is a couple of reasons why I've stuck with the original, apart from nostalgia reasons. Firstly is that the remastered version has incorporated a couple of elements from the director's cut from the first game, whereas they've reintroduced the character portraits, and instead of subtitles they have speech bubbles. And they've also included the blue hotspots that you saw in the director's cut as well, which is not such a problem for normal gameplay purposes, but there is actually no way to switch them off. And the main reason why I've stuck with the original version, apart from those reasons, is that they have cut some dialogue and also some hotspots from the remastered version. I believe they've also changed a couple of the puzzles as well. So I wanted them to play this in its original state. Anyway, enough talking, let's get on with the game.
I had no further use for the bracket. The projecting bracket had served its purpose. There was nothing else I could do with it. It was the chair I'd been tied to. I had no time to sit around. The rope was shredded and no possible use to me. Yellow pus was seeping from below the bookcase. That spider was very squashed. I wasn't touching that spider goo.
Why not?
Even if I had the time, I wouldn't be able to get to the books beneath the heavy case. The bookcase had fallen on its front, making it impossible to reach the books inside. Ubier and his wife, I guess. Nice couple. The photograph wasn't any use to me. It was an oddly designed candle holder with a coil of metal shaped like a snake. Highly artistic, but of very little practical use. The bureau had a sliding lid. Inside, I found a bottle of tequila. It was a half bottle of extra strong Mexican tequila. Just what I needed under the circumstances. Normally, I didn't drink strong spirits, but today was far from normal. Ew. Disgusting. Not only did the tequila burn like hell, I just managed to stop myself from swallowing the worm. I'd drunk enough of that. What looked like a little shriveled wiener lay on the carpet. Thankfully, it was only the worm from the tequila bottle. Well, I wasn't going to eat it. But life had taught me one thing. No matter how unlikely it seems, the strangest objects have their uses. Even tequila worms. It was a closed drawer. In the drawer was a small decorated pot. It was Nico's bag. It was a stylish little canvas number containing a lipstick, a handwritten note, and a pair of nylon panties with a large love heart emblazoned across the front. It occurred to me that Nico's tastes must have really changed while I was away. Well, they could be useful.
So we take the stuff out of the bag, but we don't actually take the bag. Surely Nico would appreciate us returning her bag when we find her.
I'd already ransacked Nico's handbag, and besides which, the color didn't suit me. It was a needle-sharp dart with a flight of green and yellow feathers. That dart was sharper than a mosquito's business end, but this didn't deter me from getting it anyway. The bars attached to the window would prevent anyone getting in. They also stopped me from getting out. I wasn't going to get through those sturdy bars. This window had bars too. The room was a prison. I wasn't going to get through those sturdy bars. It was the box that spider had crawled from. I wasn't going to touch the box after that spider had been inside it. It was a soda fountain, perfect for mixing with drinks or squirting at clowns. There was no pressure in the siphon. I guess it was out of gas.
I like how George pointed it at his own face.
The fire had taken hold and ignited part of the polished wooden floorboards. I racked my brains to think of a way to improvise a fire extinguisher. If only I'd stopped for a coffee at the airport.
Well, we do have a siphon, but it's currently not working.
The door blocked my only means of escape. In the cabinet's wooden door was a very small keyhole. The cabinet was locked. It was a pair of red, lace-trimmed panties decorated with a large black satin heart. The pot contained a key. It looked like a house key. I guess I had no business reading the note, but I figured it might give me a clue to what Nico was involved in. It was from André Labanau, the history student Nico had known at college. The letter was sentimental mush, and revealed that the exotic lingerie, as he called it, was a gift from him. It gave his telephone number. Labanau figured himself as a rival for Nico's affections, but I couldn't believe that that creep was in the running.
Well, as far as we know, he is, but I'm sure that there is more to this than meets the eye.
It was Nico's lipstick. It wasn't my color, and it reminded me of clowns. It was that itsy-bitsy tequila worm. I really must remember to take it out of my pants before I send them to the laundry. It was the poison dart which had stunned Nico. I'd never known anything keep her quiet so effectively.
We can use this dart to pick the lock.
As I released the lock, something blew the doors open. It was a small cylinder which seemed to have exploded. I couldn't think of a use for a burst cylinder. Inside the cabinet was a small metal object, round at one end with a valve at the other. The cabinet was already open. It was a small metal cylinder. That cylinder was hot. I couldn't pick it up with my bare hands.
That's fine, we have these panties.
The panties I'd found in Nico's bag were just what I needed to wrap around the hot cylinder. It was a small metal cylinder with a valve at one end. The cylinder gave out a faint hiss as the valve opened. Now I had one primed up and ready to use extinguisher.
Nice.
With a well-aimed squirt of his soda fountain, our unshakable hero saved the day. Now it was time to start looking for Nico. I wasn't going to burn myself on that red-hot doorknob, and it wasn't the time for subtlety. It was a folded clipping taken from a newspaper. I'd found a piece of newspaper folded in two. It referred to a forthcoming eclipse of the sun. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be visible from Europe. The best place to view the eclipse would be Mexico. It was the newspaper clipping referring to the imminent eclipse. Wrapped inside it was another small piece of paper. It was a bank statement for Ubier's account from an automatic telling machine. The last 5 withdrawals were for large amounts, and all made in Marseille. It was Ubier's bank statement. It was Ubier's telephone. Much as I disliked him, Labanau might be my only hope of finding Nico. Hi, Andre?
Who is this?
It's George Stobart, Nico's boyfriend.
Don't you mean ex-boyfriend?
Look, I didn't call you just to pick a fight. I need to talk to you about Nico.
Can't you accept she's just not interested in you?
Listen, Andre, we need to talk. Nico's life depends on it.
Okay. You remember the cafe at Montfaucon?
Sure. Andre? You'd better show, you creep. I felt an irrational urge to wipe my ear.
Wow, it sounds like Lobino is a completely different person in this game. He was actually quite... Well, he was a creep, but he was quite helpful and friendly.
The door led to some other part of Ubier's mansion. It was locked. The house key didn't fit this lock. The front door was made of hard wood, supported by a sturdy frame. The door was locked. I didn't fancy my chances of kicking this door down. I unlocked the door. I wasn't looking forward to meeting Lobino again, but he was my only link with Nico. There was no sign of Lobino when I got to the cafe. I decided to order a coffee and wait for him.
This place hasn't changed much. And this guy looks familiar.
It was too hot to sit inside the cafe. Besides, I might miss Lobino. I had no place to go except back to Ubier's house. Besides, I didn't want to miss Lobino. So I decided to sit tight and wait. I had no desire to go down into the sewers.
Why not? We've been down there before.
The waiter's stained and crumpled clothes looked as if they'd been slept in. I decided not to bother with a meal. Oh, garçon? He ignored me. I'm sure it was deliberate.
Well, that was rude.
It was a small silver flask from which the man was topping up his glass. I couldn't snatch the man's flask while he was looking. Pardon me, but don't I know you?
Huh?
You were here the day I found the catacombs.
I was? Ah, yes, I remember you.
Yeah. Are you still in the police force?
No, not anymore. I'm a man of leisure. And what brings you back to Paris?
I'm waiting for an acquaintance.
Boom. And you have found another. Will you share a bottle of wine with me?
Hey, listen, I'd love to, but I need to keep a clear head.
So my company isn't good enough for you?
Well, we're sat here talking to you. We just don't want to get drunk.
Why did you leave the police?
I was forced to retire. The golden handshake. Only in my case, it was more copper than gold.
How come?
I was made a scapegoat to cover up the department's inefficiencies.
Right. In the last game, he was a policeman who just sat here watching the streets and just drinking all day long.
Have you ever heard of a Professor Ubier?
No, monsieur. I don't recall the name.
Well, apparently he's an expert on Mayan art and history.
A little out of my field of experience, monsieur. If he'd been a serial killer or a sodomite, I might have been able to help.
What's that you're drinking?
It's wine.
What do you make of this dart?
I remember a case where the victim was killed with just such a device. The poison acted in seconds, causing his body to swell up like an inflatable life raft.
What do you make of this news cutting?
Orphanage supplied fast food chain?
No, it's the article above that.
Oh! Total eclipse of the sun. Well, that's very dull in comparison. I don't know anything about eclipses.
Tell me what you make of this note.
From my years of experience, I gained a pretty good insight into handwriting. I'd say that note was written by a compulsive, obsessive type with an Oedipus complex.
Hey, You got just about everything apart from the ponytail.
Now we need to wait for this waiter. Come on, drink up. Here he is.
Hey, you.
Quoi?
I'd like a cup of coffee if you don't mind.
When I finish serving this gentleman.
It is quite peaceful around here. Hey, where's the jongleur?
Un café.
Thanks. What does that guy keep pouring out of his flask?
Absinthe.
Absinthe? I thought that was highly dangerous and outlawed in France.
It is. Don't look at me, I didn't sell it to him.
Do you know a guy called André Lobineau?
Oui, I know him. What of it?
I'm supposed to meet him here. Did I miss him?
No, I have not seen him today.
Have you heard of Professor Oubier?
Oui. He married that actress, the little dachshund. They used to come here. The nutty professor and the movie star.
If Oubier's wife was a movie star, how come I never heard of her?
She was big in France. The world doesn't stop at Hollywood. Her stage name was Carol Climax. She died in suspicious circumstances.
Carol Climax. What kind of films did she star in?
How did Oubier's wife die?
I heard he shot her.
And got away with it?
He had a good lawyer and a watertight alibi.
Why would an eminent public figure like Oubier risk everything for murder?
He wouldn't be the first, would he? Besides, people like him always get off.
Do you know that man over there?
I should think so. He's a regular customer.
Look at this. A poison dart.
Ah oui, sure.
It's the real thing. Knocked my girlfriend out cold in a matter of seconds.
Romantic. Sounds like a real close relationship you have going.
That's all.
Thank you.
Well, well, this is a surprise, Georgie.
I wouldn't normally call you. But Nico's in trouble, Andre. Deep trouble. You have to help me find her.
What? What have you dragged her into this time?
It was you that recommended Professor Oubier as an expert on Mayan art. Now his butler's kidnapped her, and he tried to kill me.
Every time she gets involved with you, there is trouble. Walking out on her was the best thing you could do.
My father was dying, damn it. I had no choice.
Well, she soon recovered once she went back to her old friends.
Drop it, Andre. Right now, Nico's in danger, and we have to work together.
So, how can I help?
Nico needed to speak to Oubier about a stone.
Oh, you mean this stone?
So that's what all the trouble's about.
Precisely. Nicole told me to guard it with my life.
Well, it's worth more than that, surely.
Oh, very funny.
What's funny is that your life really is on the line.
What are you talking about?
The stone is a Mayan artifact, dummy, and the guy who kidnapped Nico was from Central America. It was the stone they were after.
Oh my god, you mean I could be in danger too?
We can only hope. I like how as soon as Andre appears, ominous music started to play.
What do you suppose the carving on the stone means?
I don't know. I haven't shown it to anyone.
Why don't you just give it to me?
I don't want your death on my conscience, George.
Where did Nico get the stone?
It was sent to her.
From where? Who?
I'm not sure I should tell you.
Oh, you should.
It was something to do with smuggling.
Why didn't Nico take the stone to Oubier?
I don't know. Perhaps she suspected something like this would happen.
If she's been hurt, Andre, I'll break every bone in your body.
No, that's typical of you. Do you think I don't care what happens to Nicole?
It occurred to me that slugs don't have bones to break, but I kept that thought to myself. Tell me about your friend Ubier.
He's more of a professional acquaintance than a friend.
I see. So you don't really know him at all.
No, I don't.
Does Ubier employ a guy from Central America?
Maybe. I don't know.
What do you think this is, Andre?
I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. It's got more backbone than you.
You think you're amusing, don't you?
What can you tell me about this pot?
South or Central American, I'd say. I have a friend who'd be able to tell you more.
Where can I find this guy?
He owns a gallery on the left bank. The Gliese Gallery.
Take a look at this, Andre.
It's a bank statement?
Yeah, Professor Ubier's account. 5 large cash withdrawals in the space of 3 days, all from an automatic teller in Marseille. Suspicious, isn't it?
You're even more crazy than you were before.
How is that crazy?
See you later.
Goodbye, Georgie.
I've had enough of your games, Kala. Tell me what you've done with my stone.
I thought your business was simply smuggling cocaine, Karzak. Why are you so interested in that stone?
Either you tell me what I want to know, or Pablo here will make you talk.
Okay. Well, I figured someone at the university would be able to help. So I had a word with one of my girlfriends, and she told me her boyfriend was a lecturer. I sent the stone to the Department of Ethnology. You know, I figured it was South American, so... You're not buying this, are you?
That's enough! I don't have time to listen to your mindless prattle. We'll leave you to think it over. Come the morning, you'll be ready to talk.
Ever heard of Carol Climax, the movie star?
Yes, but I don't care for the kind of movie she's made. It's smut like that which has caused the moral decline of the Western world.
Is it true that Carol Climax was murdered by her husband?
First I heard of it. I thought she just retired.
Do you miss being a gendarme?
Yes, of course I do. When I wore that uniform, I commanded respect. Not anymore.
I grabbed the flask and was struck by a powerful smell of absinthe, a highly potent and illegal alcoholic drink.
I'm surprised that waiter did not say anything when he saw us taking it.
Excuse me.
What?
I'm trying to find my girlfriend. She's been kidnapped.
Kidnapped?
Yeah, it was our first day back together after many months.
That's too bad. My God, that's depressing.
Okay, let's leave him to it. We have a lead to follow.
Now I had another lead. I could either go back to Ubier's house or visit the Gliese Gallery.
There's no point going back.